everyone, it's Lisa from I Dream in Soap. Welcome to my channel. Now this is a super quick video this week because I'm really rushed for time, but I wanted to get something out, so I hope you don't mind just a quick one this week. As you can see here, what I've done is I've just made up some piping for my soap to start off with. Now for my piping, I don't do anything special at all. I just take my normal soap recipe and leave it to set up a little bit. And what I'm doing here is I want to make some little tiny lilac flowers to go on the top of my soap. Now these flowers are going to be really tiny, weeny small. So what I'm going to do is, rather than pipe each individual little flower and have them all separate, I'm actually going to pipe little clusters of flowers. And then I can let these set on the side for a little while, and then I can pick up and use these little clusters on the top of my soap rather than trying to cope with individual little tiny flowers. Now the tip I'm using is a Wilton 59 tip, and that's the one that's, if you look at it from the top, looks like a very small sort of crescent moon shape. And the reason I've chosen this one is because with your lilac flowers, when you have a look at them, they sort of, the petals of them sort of curve up around the edges and stick up a little bit. So this Wilton 59 tip does give that shape. Now how we want to make the lilac flowers is, I almost think you sort of hold this tip round the wrong way. Now the tip itself has a slightly fatter part of the moon bit and a slightly skinnier part. So you want to start with the fatter part pointing down towards your base, and the skinnier part, that's what will give you those raised edges. And you also pipe with the moon sort of backwards. It's kind of difficult to explain. If you imagine your crescent moon, you want the back of the crescent moon being the leading edge of the flower as you pipe it. So it might just be easier if I zoom in a little bit and we can just have a look at this, and I'll just pipe in a few more. I know you probably don't want to see me piping the whole loaf amount, but you should hope you're able to get a good idea of how we form these flowers. I've already pre-dispersed my micas in some oil taken from my batch oils, and the colours I'm using today are Ooh La La from You Make It Up, and then a combination of Purple Passion from You Make It Up and also some Neon Purple just to give it a little bit of a punch, and that's from Mica Mama. And I will be using some titanium dioxide as well. Now the fragrance oil I'm using is from Craftovator in the UK, and it's just called Lilac. Now this is a great fragrance oil. Although it's floral and it really does have a great lilac scent, it holds really nicely. Even at the 3% we can use in the UK, it gives a lovely strong fragrance in the soap, and it behaves really well. It doesn't discolour and it moves really, really slowly. Now this soap is going to be just a really quite straightforward basic swirl. So I've got all my oils melted and my lye for my entire batch, and I'm just mixing them up together, and I'm going to bring them to an emulsion. And then I'll just weigh out my entire batch of soap, take away the weight of the jug so I can split it out in the proportions that I want. And then the only other thing I'm adding to this soap is a whole bunch of tiny weeny little white flowers that I've extruded. And as you can see here, I've got quite a lot of them because I want a real bunch of them at the bottom of the soap. Okay, so I'm just going to set the pour, because it's nothing complicated, to some music, and then we'll come back and just finish off with topping with those flowers.
I lose my breath whenever I see you. You stole my heart, what is it that you do? My life was great till you added colors. Like the moon needs the sun, we don't care about the others. You set my world on fire. You're my heart's desire. I just wanna love you, just wanna hold you, just wanna be with you till we grow old. Please tell me you'll stay or take me away. I want you for myself every single day. You set my world on fire. You set my world on fire. I don't know what I'd do without you. You make me smile, what is it that you do? My life was great till you added colors. Like the moon is the snow, we don't care about the others. You set my world on fire. You're my heart's desire. I just wanna love you, just wanna hold you, just wanna be with you till we grow old. Please tell me you'll stay or take me away. I want you for myself every single day. You set my world on fire. You set my world on fire. I just want you, I just need you. I don't know what it is you do. I just want you, I just need you. I don't know what it is you do. I just wanna love you, just wanna hold you, just wanna be with you till we grow old. Please tell me you'll stay or take me away. I want you for myself every single day.
So there's our soap poured, and let's bring all those little flowers in that I've piped. They've set up nicely now. They've just been sitting around for a few hours. And because I piped them in the clusters, that's just going to make it easier for me to put little clusters of the flowers. Like with lilacs, you do get them in sort of really clustered flowers. So that's what I'm aiming for on the top of this soap. And once I've got all the flowers on the top, I'm going to cover the soap and then pop it as normal, so into the oven at 170 degrees F, 70 degrees C. Turn the oven off as the soap goes in and then leave it there overnight. And then here we are the next day with our unmoulded soap. I'm really pleased with the top. It looks nice and pretty and like the little lilac blossoms that you get. And then for the inside of our bars, I always think it's quite amazing when you want to put in a whole load of little embeds in the bottom. Do you remember when I was putting those in the soap? It looks like I was putting masses and masses and masses of them in, but there doesn't look like quite a lot on the bottom, but it doesn't seem to be anywhere near as many as I actually put in. I like my drop swirl. I intended to keep that drop swirl really small. I wanted it to be tiny little drops to sort of mimic the tiny little blossoms that you get on the lilacs, and then with the darker areas of the drop swirl at the bottom, and then bringing in the white further up. And then I'll just leave you with a final photo of the soap. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm sorry it was rather quick this week, but I hope you've enjoyed it anyway. This soap, which smells absolutely wonderful by the way, is for sale in the shop right now if you fancied grabbing a bar. Thanks for watching everyone. Happy soaping!